Hi, welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophie, your pilot into the universe of Chinese. Okay, welcome back. And if you're new, welcome to my program. This is totally a personal hobby thing. Through this program, I can do some deep diving into my own language, my native tongue, and that I have the opportunity to learn another language and to to look back on my native language and realize like a lot of cultural embedding are planted in that before I wouldn't even think much about it. Okay, so yesterday we talked about 男儿有泪不轻弹. It's Chinese way to say if you're a man, don't cry. Okay, so I find the corresponding Boys Don't Cry simply because there's a movie out there and it's close enough to this meaning. Today we continue with 弹 in 吹弹可破. 吹弹可破. There are like 3 action words. I translated hush, pluck, shatter. Okay, that's a lot of action in one phrase. Okay, 吹 come from the mouse symbol. Oh, actually, you can see mouse symbol here, mouse symbol in 3 out of the 4 characters. That's how common that is. And because language is used to describing human experience, right? So we started from our own self-centered perspective to describe the objective, supposedly objective world, the physical world. So 吹 with the mouse symbol on the side, I described the mouse symbol look like a smiley face, kind of up to the corner over there. And then the right side is a human figure. It's it's hard to imagine this human figure almost because we know, if you know a tiny little bit of Chinese human figure kind of written in contemporary simplified version look like this, but in ancient times, one side is shorter, straighter, versus the other side is curvier and longer. And they pair together like this, almost like an English letter R. And that's 人 back then. So over time, of course, characters got simplified and, it's easier to write that way. Now, with this human figure, 3 strokes on top of that. That is described the hushing, the puffing of exhaling of us when we are yawning, kind of doing this. Okay, we only use 3 strokes to mean there is a recurring air going out in a certain wave pattern. And because it's positioned on top of the, this structure that's kind of toward the head of the human figure. This is super simplified human figure, right? There's no head symbol, no sphere depicted over there, but only by the position, this is kind of on top of the human figure. So that's close to your head and you have the airs coming out. So that's kind of a hushing. And with the mouse symbol, even more solidify its physical meaning having air coming out of a person. In Chinese, a lot of characters is related to speaking, to airflow. And I guess this is the fascination of language creators back then, thousands of years ago, to graduate from probably sign language or simple language and eventually verbal language that may have different dialects, right? And then finally somebody come up a plan to capture all that sounds and to visualize that and to relate to our world, right? So speaking, the function of speaking, pronunciating words itself is fascinating till today, right? Back then, I could imagine like the people from more simple sign language to written language. So there is an evolution right there. And that's the time when language is in its baby stage and was in formation. And that fascinates the language creator. And that came in, captured in the language. And now till today, we can see a lot of mouth symbols, right? One is about it's self-referral as a human, and things like with the sound or the air coming out that also depict the human exhaling, the breathing part. Okay, so just a little bit about that. 弹, okay, also have two mouth symbol. When you see two, it's no longer an individual. You can almost view it as almost a choir, multiple mouths around. And we have this almost like ancient war carriage or chariot looking structure, except that it's missing one side, but it's implied that's something related to wartime chariot. And with the two mouth symbols next to it, I would imagine it in the wartime, the order-giving officials who is standing high on, it's almost like, driving SUV in a, lower sedan flow, right? So you can have a better vision. You can then give order, the ground order. Then this mouth symbol next to it, simply the announcers or the communication line. So it's human phone line back then, right? So it's multiple of them to give orders as to how to maneuver on this battlefield. And from there, extended into meaning of their assigned the importance to this order giver, the position of this order, almost like the hub of information, the order giver, right, in wartime. And so that eventually carried the meaning of grand, something important, or singular, single out, because only one person, I would imagine, in wartime, only one person can give order. Otherwise, it's going to be chaos. The left side here is the bow. So in bow and arrow, in ancient times, probably bow was a major weaponry. So in I guess the weaponry world, tiny little bit of that bow is long distance weaponry, right? It may not be as deadly as other metal headed weaponry that directly inflicted on a person from the muscle power directly. But here the bow is using the taut string, right? And then release, travel long distance to potentially hit target. Probably is not as deadly as the other one, but it's commonly used because it does deter people, and it's long distance. So this arrow eventually paired with this grand or order giver in wartime. Both of them are wartime symbols. Became plugging, I would imagine, because it depicts this shooting out the arrow. You see the arrow is not depicted here, only the bow is here. And this grand bow that depicts this arrow shooting moment of releasing, like what's then left is only a bow. Okay, that's my little bit interpretation. So this is air, right? By your air going out. And this tan is by your fingers to kind of flick or pluck. So there are two actions. And then the third action, pull. Okay, you see, this is the only one that doesn't have a mouth symbol, because this is an object that's beyond, it's not human. We do use, a lot of symbols. We also use non-human objects to depict. This one with the left side, it's almost like top left corner. Okay, kind of looking like that. Top left corner means high ground. We also have a low ground, that's bottom left corner. That's a low ground. So on high ground, so it means some kind of like a cliff, right? Imagine a cliff. And then this almost like an oval shape. This oval shape was originally just a square over there to show it's a physical, it has a physical 3D body on a 2D space, right? It's flat. We can only do 2D here. And then high ground and some object over there. And that use the imagination, you can kind of connect the dot of this is outdoor, this is something on the high ground, and object in this shape. So that's deduced to be a stone outside. So this is not a human object, this is out in the nature, easily found on high ground. So that's the stone symbol. The right side, we have a three-finger hand symbol on the bottom right. And here we have a super simplified, streamlined symbol for animal body. So this is the head of an animal body, and this long extended line is the body part. So this action is actually to three-finger hand symbol going to the skin, or to peel the skin off whatever the animal captured then. So this is a small piece already separated from the main body of the animal. So I would imagine back then, hunter-gatherer, that when capture a wild animal, to skin the animal is the first step, right? Before you can cook it or do anything. And also the skin need to be preserved, things like that. So this skinning, taking off the skin of an animal, was commonly seen back then. And so this symbol on the right side, that's simplified into contemporary Chinese, looking like that, means skin. It actually means de-skin process from a hunt, a catch. So the skin, if this is separation of skin, right? Paired with stone means there is this moment when the stone was shattered. So stone, solid piece come in one piece, right? So when the de-skinning, so to speak, happened to the stone, it means it's not like an animal. You have a layer you can peel off. Stone doesn't behave like that. Once a part of the stone was separated from its main body, it's going to kind of crumble, like a shatter. So that's the original meaning. When we pair the skin with stone, that means the stone is broken down. So that's the break symbol. And in this context, I use shatter, means with hush, like really lightly air puff on something, and slug, like with your lightly hand touch, then something can be shattered. Okay, this can symbol we come across a lot of times because I don't know why Chinese use can so much in their language. I guess can means this potential, means this possibility. It's not like a guarantee, right? When we insert can in there, that means it's one possibility, something could happen this way. Okay, so this could or can in Chinese have this mouth symbol, and then have this horizontal line and the vertical non-straight line. In contemporary Chinese, we hardly see anything that's a non-straight line, right? Occasionally do, but like a curved line like that, not that common. This is an ancient style of Chinese. So according to some scholars, this is a kind of like a podium. You can see from the proportion. I mean, proportion can be distorted over time, but over here, it does look like provide a kind of flat surface and rising from above, right? So it's like above the ground. At least there is a high ground over there, right? And then we have mouth symbol over there. It serves as a what I call divine decoder. So somebody who is specialized in communicating with the divine, with the unknown, with the superpower or supernatural power out there, who is not directly communicable, right? Or controllable or predictable, right? We live, especially in ancient times, people live with that. So that divine decoder eventually becomes this, power figure almost, right? If the divine decoder say, oh, I read the sky or whatever is reading that this is going to happen, or you need to do this to prevent that, right? And then that becomes eventually the permission to do something, or the forecast of something can happen in the future. So that becomes can. 吹弹可破. In Chinese contemporary English, we see this phrase so many times simply because it almost becomes the standard lingual, the term to use in the beauty industry as a promise that their skin can be as delicate as 吹弹可破, that it cannot be hushed at, cannot be plucked at. Otherwise, it's possibly going to break, going to shatter, because that's how tender and delicate our skin is. Now, thinking about a language individually, like breaking it down, overall, together, it means delicate, right? But when breaking it down, like if you hush it, if you pluck it, your skin are going to shatter. What kind of skin is that? Isn't that horrible? Like nobody wants that kind of skin. It's too fragile, right? But somehow, like a language user, I heard this phrase so many times, I never really take time to think about what that means. Even if it's an exaggeration, what happened like that, like whatever skincare product that they're promoting with this phrase, like with this application, you are going to have 吹弹可破 skin, right? With that promise, that would be problematic for that brand, right? If it caused consumers such a skin condition. But we have been always using this 吹弹可破 as the phrase to mean that a kind of delicate skin, as shown in this AI-generated young girl, and that's the kind of ideal skin condition that beauty industry is promoting as this useful, high collagen-filled skin that's super elastic and almost like a baby-looking skin. And because it's so delicate that you cannot hush at it or plug it, I guess. That's 吹弹可破. Cashing into the currency of thinking by one word a day with Sophie. See you another day.